With the All-Star break right around the corner and the trade deadline coming shortly after that, I want to take a look at 8 players that teams might be able to buy low on now and with a change of scenery get better results than expected after they switch teams. First person I want to look at is catcher for the Atlanta Braves, Sean Murphy. Now, his stats this year aren't up to what he normally plays at, as he's only batting 225 with a 309 on base and a 478 slug. Now, that's a really good slug and matches what his best season is. His best season was in 2023 when he had a 251 average, a 365 on base, and a 478 slug. But a lot of that is just on the backs of his 13 home runs and the fact that he is, despite not getting on base a lot, he is coming up and getting extra base hits when he does make contact, which is good, but he needs to be making more contact. Other thing to note about him is that rookie Drake Baldwin down there in Atlanta is taking away some of his reps as he's having a good rookie season so far. So a reason the Braves might move him is because of Baldwin's presence and the fact they would get out of the 3 years and $45 million remaining on his contract for a player who's already over 30. Another thing to note from the Braves side of things is Murphy has dealt with injury issues, missing time in each of the last 3 seasons. So even if he was their everyday catcher, there's no guarantee that he could be available for the whole season, as his injury issues have been a problem. Now, reasons that teams should acquire him: he's a big power bat from a catcher with positive defensive metrics in all seasons, except for his rookie year in 2019 when he only played 18 games. That means you're getting a good framer, you're getting a guy who throws out base runners at an above average clip. He's at 25% this year, which is above the average of about 22%. And he's a run producer. He can be in the middle of your lineup, and he can obviously provide more than what he already is. And what he already is providing is good defense and plus power. From a catcher, it's about all you can ask for. And for the team acquiring him, you have a controllable player in the prime of his career. $15 million a year is a reasonable salary for an immediate impact bat in the middle of your lineup, and especially for a catcher where a lot of people are normally light hitting at the catcher position. Next player I want to look at is outfielder Brian Reynolds for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, he is a player who has played all 3 outfield positions, however, not well, as his defensive metrics in, I believe, all of his seasons do not grade out positively, but he has been really good with the bat and at the plate. His numbers this year don't reflect that, as he only has 10 homers and 46 RBIs, which are pretty good numbers raw, but his 226 batting average, 291 on base, and 374 slug paint a picture of a player who is not playing at above average. Actually, I believe he's at like an 84 OPS this year, which is below average. His best season did come in 2021, where he batted 302 with a 390 on base and a 522 slug with 24 homers and 90 RBIs. Now, the reason the Pirates would move him is that he's underperforming while being one of the highest salaries on the team with 5 years, $75.25 million left on his contract. And that is an escalating contract. So he's already not performing well, and he's just going to continue to get more expensive for a team that typically doesn't spend money at all. Now, he also does still hold value due to his control and his age, as he's just 30 years old. But his timeline, this doesn't not line up with the rest of the team's timeline. He is a player who should be winning now, and the Pirates very clearly are not. Also, you can't hide him at DH with his very poor defense because you have McCutchen, who they've already said they will not move as their current DH. So, and as long as McCutchen is there, he will be their DH. There's not much more to that discussion at all. So, a reason the team should acquire him: he is coming into the season with 4 straight years at 20 plus homers, with the chance to still make it this year, as he's at 10 through about like 90 games of the season. And he would benefit from not being one of the big guys in the lineup. I think if you were able to hide him at like a 6 or a 7 spot, or even if you had him, batting second, but with some great bats around him, I think that he would be able to improve a lot. There's also the chance that if you put him in a place like Boston in left field, now he won't be traded to Boston, but you put him in Boston's left field where it's short, you can hide some of his defensive deficiencies as well. So there's ways to work around it. With him having experience in left and right field, it doesn't matter necessarily which side you need him to play. He's going to play it at a below average rate either way. But you're requiring him for the bat and the control, and hopefully, if he continues to, if he plays well and doesn't continue to play at this very negative place, even if he lands somewhere in the middle, that's still a really good offensive player. As what a 291 on base this year is just really bad for a player of his caliber. And I definitely think that there's more in that bat than he is currently providing. And a team that doesn't need him to be the guy will benefit from acquiring this player. Next up, I want to look at Adolis Garcia, the right fielder for the Texas Rangers. Now, he is a player that never hit well for average. His best season, he only batted 245 with a 328 on base, but a 502 slug. So, really, his numbers this season at 229 with a 275 on base and a 382 slug. The only really thing that's surprising there is the slug. His on base, obviously, having a 275 on base is just really, really poor. But he is having a decent last about 30 days of baseball, which is a good sign for the Rangers, any team looking to acquire him. But in his best season, and even in this season, he has 10 homers and 50 RBIs. He had 107 RBIs and 39 home runs, so really big power potential. And even though he might not be producing overall, he is still driving in runs. He knows how to bring the guy in from third, bring the guy in from second when he comes to bat, with guys in scoring position, which is what a lot of teams need. Just that guy to bring them in. On top of that, he does bring elite defense in right field. Despite a down year last season, he has plus 12 defensive runs scored so far this season. So if you acquire him, put him in right field, you are getting Gold Glove caliber defense. The Rangers would move him because he's already 32 years old. He did get a very late start, I believe, debuting at like 27 and then not getting, or like 25, not getting another shot for another 2 or 3 years because he debuted with the Cardinals and then went over to Texas. So this is also his second straight year of underperforming, as he had a down year last year as well. People were just hoping that it was a blip, but clearly it is not. So the Rangers could move him because he's just not working out for them, and he's already 32 years old. So if he's going to do some big money to bat what he's batting now, I don't know if they're going to be willing to pay that next season. Reasons the team should acquire him is that big time power and the run production potential. I mean, putting him like fifth in your lineup, you're going to get runs from him. Like, he's going to drive in guys. He's going to hit big time homers, and he's a guy who's going to drive in runners. Just like I said before, like that's what he does. He brings the defense and he brings the runs home. That's what he's made his career out of. That's what he still does. Teams also do have one more year of arbitration control for him. So if you acquire him and he plays well for you, you do have him for next season, which is always good to have when you're acquiring someone at the trade deadline. The last bat that I want to discuss before getting into pitchers is utility player for the Kansas City Royals, Jonathan India. Now, he has worked at second base, third base, and left field this year, not grading out positively at any spot, grading out best in left field, actually, which is surprising considering it's his first time in the outfield in the majors. But he is batting 246 with a 326 on base and a 338 slug, only 4 homers and 23 RBIs. His best season was 2021 when he won the Rookie of the Year with 21 homers, 69 RBIs, a 269 average, 376 on base, and a 459 slug. Now, the reasons the Royals might move him is his subpar performance when he's expected to be the guy in front of Bobby Witt Jr., and then his poor defense, like I said. Now, his versatility is nice, and it's a reason that teams should get him because he can play second, third, and outfield, but he's not playing any of them particularly well, and then also not swinging the bat very well with almost basically no slug in that bat this year. It's not what you want for a team that is severely lacking in power. But he also does have Rookie of the Year pedigree. He has that on his mantle. He has that in him. And he did trend up at the end of last season, the second half of the season specifically. So, teams can look to possibly have that happen for them as well. And at the end of the day, he's a guy that can give you 20 homers and just give you really consistency as a player coming in and out every single day. And there's not much more you can ask for when you're just trying to fill in the gaps. The first pitcher I want to look at is a really interesting case in relief pitcher for the Los Angeles Angels, Reed Detmers. Now, he is only 26 years old. He is coming into this season as his first full relief pitcher season. He's got 40.1 innings pitched, 50 strikeouts with a 3.79 ERA and a 1.46 whip. Now, a lot of that is he does typically walk a lot of batters. One of the reasons that he is no longer a starter for them is all of his walks. His best season came in 2022 when he had a 3.77 ERA with a 1.2 whip in 129 innings with 122 strikeouts. He did follow that up in 2023 with a slightly higher ERA, but a much better strikeout to innings pitched. I believe he was, and he has a career 9.9 strikeout per nine, which is really good. He does have 3 years of arbitration left and a no hitter on his resume. In 2022, he did throw a no hitter, so that's really good. He has that ability in him, in a young player as well. The reason that the Angels would move him is that he's giving them good value out of the pen this year, but as a failed starter, they might look to just take advantage of the fact that they can move a guy with 3 years of control as a left-handed reliever and just be happy they're getting something for him. Teams can look to potentially stretch him back out as a starter for next season, similar to how guys like Garrett Crochet and Chris Bubich, they spent a year or two as relief pitchers and then stretched back out to starters to great success. So I think that if a team brings him into their pitching situation, and even if it's just this year, you're going to be a reliever, and then next season we'll look to stretch you back out. I think he can give you good value as a relief pitcher right now, and then potentially be a above average starter next season if you can successfully stretch him back out. So there's a lot of excess potential for a guy that won't cost as much as some of the higher end bullpen arms will cost. Next up for our pitchers is right-handed starter Brady Singer for the Cincinnati Reds. He is having a pretty good season this year with a 4.32 ERA, but he does have a bloated 136 whip and 93.2 innings pitched with only 83 strikeouts. His best season came in 2022 when he had a 3.23 ERA with a 1.14 whip and 153.1 innings and 150 strikeouts. Now, he's underperformed after his trade in the offseason with his ground ball percentage at a career low, 34.7%. His previous low was 47.2%, which came last season. One of the reasons the Reds got him is because they thought that his ground ball rate would play at home at Great American Ballpark, which is a very hitter-friendly ballpark. Weirdly enough, he is performing better at Great America than he is on the road, but still that 34.7% ground ball rate is not where you want to be for a place that has as much runs scored historically and this year as well as Great America Ballpark does have. Also, without his strikeouts being at the rate that it was previously, that's also not a good sign as well for a team in Cincinnati that plays at a batter-friendly home stadium. They also have multiple young pitchers they can replace him with in Chase Petty and Rhett Lauder when he gets healthy, just to name two. Reasons teams should acquire him is his walk rate is a career high 3.7. So if they can lower that, get him to throw more balls in the strike zone, he should be more effective, and that will lower his whip, which should help to lower an ERA that is already pretty good at 4.32. He also could benefit from a change of philosophy, as it seems like he is kind of toying on the outskirts of the strike zone a lot more this season, whether it's to chase strikeouts or whatever it is, doesn't seem to be working as well as it has previously. He also does have 1 year of arbitration after this season, so you're not just getting 1 year of this guy, you're getting a year and a half, essentially. Brady Singer has a really good track record from when he was back as a Royal, and he has good numbers this season in like every category except for walk rate and ground ball rate. So you're not getting a player who is as poor performing as the next two guys we're going to talk about, but you do have a guy with flaws that you can look to fix that can help him greatly improve. And if he does, he becomes like a solid third option in a playoff rotation. The next player I want to look at is German Marquez, starting pitcher for the Colorado Rockies. Now, his stats this year look horrible. He has a 5.84 ERA with a 1.62 whip in 89 and a third innings with 63 strikeouts. Now, those are ghastly stats, even for a Coors Field pitcher. His best season came in 2018 when he had a 3.77 ERA with a 1.21 whip. 196 innings pitched. He had 230 strikeouts. Now, the reason the Rockies would trade him, he's a free agent at the end of the season, so I'm sure they'll look to get whatever value they can out of him. Reason teams should acquire him, he's missed basically the last two seasons due to injury, as he has 2 starts combined in the last 2 seasons. He did have that great season in 2018, like I said, and I think a change in philosophy and escaping Coors Field could really help to bring more out of him. He has a good pitch mix. He has good potential, even for an older player, as he's in his 30s now. Um, yeah, I'm interested to see what teams can do when he's not pitching half his games at Coors, and with a team that has a more analytical mindset, as the Rockies are notoriously against analytics. So I think there's a lot of potential improvement for a guy that is not going to cost a lot. You probably could get him for like your 27th ranked prospect this year, and who knows, you might get a playoff starter out of it. Last player I'm going to look at today is a personal favorite of mine. That is Michael Soroka. He's a starting pitcher for the Washington Nationals. He is this season not having the greatest ERA season, as he's got a 5.40 ERA. He does only have a 1.14 whip, which is really good, in 63 and a third innings with 70 strikeouts. He missed, I believe it was all of April with an injury, but he's been good since then, health wise. His best season came in 2019 with the Braves when he had a 2.68 ERA with a 1.11 WHIP in 174 and 2/3 innings with 142 strikeouts. The Nats would trade him because he is an expiring contract, and losing that rotation spot would clear space for Cade Cavalli, who is down in AAA and working his way back from Tommy John surgery. Now, teams should acquire him because he was a top 6 finisher in 2019, his best season. He is still only 27, with under 400 innings pitched on his arm in the majors because he has dealt with injuries. I believe when he was with the Braves, he did miss like 2 straight seasons with injury, similar to Marquez. He has dominated for starts this season, including 10 strikeouts and 3 earned runs in 5 1/3 innings on the 22nd of June versus the Dodgers. So he has proven it this year. And at the end of the day, he's really being killed by the long ball. His FIP, which is fielding independent pitching, is 4.21, putting him ahead of guys like Jack Flaherty, Seth Lugo, Ryan Pepoy, Zach Gallen, and Tanner Bybee. So the underlying stats show, with a 1.14 WHIP and a 4.21 FIP, that he can pitch to better than he currently is. And for a guy that in his best season had 32 less strikeouts than innings pitched, he has 7 more strikeouts than innings pitched. So his stuff can play. It can play up. And I think with a little tweak here and there, you can get a third starter in your rotation for the playoffs for a pretty decent price. And I think it's worth it. I mean, he doesn't have control beyond this season, unlike a lot of the other guys that I've talked about, but I don't know if he'd be relatively expensive unless he absolutely goes bonkers at the end of the season. But either way, it's taking a chance on a 27-year-old with not a lot of arms or a lot of innings on his arm, which is, for a guy that's been in the MLB, since he was like 21, 22 years old, that's not common. So there's a lot of potential in Mike Soroka, and a team should take a chance on him and see what they can get. That has been my list today. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys thought. And if you have anyone else that you think might be a change of scenario type player for this trade deadline. For more sports content, please subscribe to Ballhawk Sports Media, and I will see you next time.